Welcome to 0HITPOINTS, everybody. It's April 30th. I'm Ryan Miller. And Mortal Kombat. Amber.
That was a good edit. I'm gonna say that preemptively because I know you did.
No way. Unedited. That's what we are, technically.
I really do hope that if you're gonna edit that, you have to edit it so it's Mortal Kombat.
It did sound. I do like things that sound like edits when they aren't.
I think I like things that sound like edits that are.
My favorite is especially if it's like a Spanish thing and then they say the English word in a completely different voice right on top of it. Like, bienvenidos a podcast. It's good, right?
Oh,
Look
man.
at him laughing it up at my jokes.
I wish our show was in Duolingo or...
Duolingo. That's a good app. I like that app.
I haven't really used it. I don't know anything about it.
It's a good app. I like that app.
We will. That remains to be seen. I will be the ultimate judge of that. When I go onto the iTunes, where everybody else should, go find our podcast, give us ratings there. Apparently matters. I'm going to go on there and rate that.
Good. Yeah. Considering the last app I recommended to you was that Pixel
and
Konami
I'm definitely
puzzle collection.
rating that.
Tune in last week for the rating on that.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I got another.
Tune in this week for the rating on just brand new video games. Always brand new video games. Hot takes, top of the list, front of the consciousness stuff here on 0HITPOINTS. It's Mortal Kombat 11 week, guys.
Yeah, we're like behind by a full week, but we're doing it anyway.
Are we behind technically still? Because it came out.
Oh, no.
We just don't get the pre-release stuff. It comes out like on the day because we record a day early. That's all right. We talked about it, and then it had arrived in the mail.
Baseball.
So technically, this is as early as it could have been.
Okay, technically you're right. And that's the best kind of right.
Isn't it?
It is.
That's what I keep telling my wife, and she says, technically, we're not married.
And you say, well, this ring and piece of paper say otherwise. Check.
I do keep them in my wallet.
And yeah, no, you should. Just always walk around. If anybody ever asks anything, look, proof of purchase here, all right? We're married.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense for the piece of paper, less so for the ring, but that's where I keep it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe you could you can connect them. You can put put some really nice
the paper
ribbon
on my finger.
Yeah, and then use the ring, like have the actual marriage license's signatures etched into the ring.
Your ring's cooler than mine.
My ring is super unique, and it has its ups and downs. It's got its flaws.
What?
Okay, so
what were the words you just said?
So the biggest issue with this ring, in terms of like, I love the way it looks, and you know, for all of our viewers, I'm sure you can see what I'm doing here.
It looks like, picture a circle.
Yeah, it's kind of ring-ish, but it's like two rings that are slightly spaced by a bunch of like offset little posts, and it has
perpendicular connectives.
Yeah, and it's got Depeche Mode lyrics in it. And but
that's it, guys.
I got really into it. But I was like super like, wow, look at my ring, man. I haven't looked at this in a while. No, but the problem with it is that whenever I wash my hands, because it's got all the little gaps in it, like especially if I use bar soap, it just gets filled all the crevices get filled with soap. So I have to take the ring off and then drop it down the drain and then call a janitor. I'm at home.
The perils of washing regularly.
Yeah, you know what? And the thing is, I can't stop doing it.
You got to get clean somehow. And
I'm not licking
after
myself.
this show, it just makes sense.
And I'm not licking myself, not anymore.
After Mortal Kombat, it might make sense too, actually. Really.
To lick myself?
No, the getting clean part.
Oh.
It's a bloody game you've got there.
It could be bloody.
And I say you because you are the owner of Mortal Kombat around these parts.
I do. You own it.
I own the game. I don't own the franchise like you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I do have a heavy stake in the IPO itself. I was like, Mortal Kombat when I was like 7 or 8, and I went, yeah!
You wish.
I was probably 9 or 10.
Actually, how would that even carry over, though? Because NetherRealm didn't exist yet.
Buying the IPOs, man. This is, look, there are a lot of ins and outs to this kind of law when it comes to how you invest and what I don't have time to explain it right now.
Sure.
I just want you to know. Okay. I want to jump back for a second onto mobile games that are bad. And so we're just going to dive in. Mortal Kombat mobile.
Are you going to say, well, if you're going to go Mortal Kombat mobile, let's go back even further.
Why?
Because I feel like,
now you're
number one.
You're confusing me.
Well, it's momentous because I feel like it's not all the time that we get to do franchises on this show. We've been doing this long enough that franchises, like recent issues, yes, because we play back games. He's giving me a funny look right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely giving you a game.
Did I say name or look?
It doesn't matter.
Did I say name? Really?
I don't know who said what. I know that I said a word, and you know what? Let's just go ahead and we'll just rewind it.
Give me a funny look right now.
I'm giving you a funny name, too.
But Mortal Kombat X or 10 or whatever we did, like, very recently
upon
its release.
I wrote a missive on it. I was actually looking
that's right.
for
Yeah,
it
that too.
Other day.
Well, and I guess that's what I'm talking about. Where you did go into your backstory. I feel like whereas we talk, I'm sure, about Mortal Kombat here and there all the time, as anybody should.
Every day.
Maybe it's worth revisiting your history, your pedigree with the franchise, your ownership of it, like I said already.
You have such a weird like view of who, like, I don't know how I built this up in your head, like but it's like you took a nugget of information and then you decided, oh man, this is like a whole gold bar. It's really great. I feel way better about myself when I talk to you.
Again, underestimate yourself, number one. Why am I numbering things so often nowadays?
I don't know.
Actually?
I like listicles.
Number two, you know a lot in your underestimation of yourself and relatively speaking to myself. So most of it's just relatively speaking. I turn to you.
Well, and I don't have a ton of relatives, so I don't do a lot of talking, but we'll change it up here, I guess. I don't talk a ton on this show.
Yeah, let's... Mortal Kombat, take me back. You love the series. You grew up with it. We both grew up with it, but you...
I grew up with it. Like, I was in the arcade pretty regularly. It was a Godfather's Pizza that was down the road from my house in Redmond, Washington. Just down the road, Avondale. Avondale Road.
Shout out to Avondale.
Yeah, what's up, Avondale? A-Dale, coming at you. So I would go down to this. There was a little tiny video game shop across the street, and I would go grab a slice of pizza with friends at Godfather's. We'd spend all of our money that we had playing Mortal Kombat, and
the first,
the Mortal Kombat, the first, correct?
Okay.
And we were just all really into it. I was super into it. It was a lot of fun, and then finding out that, like, it was one of those games where I feel like it might have been the first game where I found out that a secret that I'd heard about was like actually a secret and it's attainable even maybe. Whoa. And then, to see somebody do it was mind blowing.
What was it?
To get to Reptile. Reptile was in the first game,
right.
But
Okay.
You had to do, I don't remember all of the steps, but you had to have you couldn't do it every time. It was really arbitrary when you could do it. You had to do it, I think, when there was like something crosses the moon in the background. You have to get a double flawless victory with the fatality. And I think there's a time thing to it too.
This may be why I never saw Reptile. Was this was in the first game too?
Yeah,
really?
yeah. He was at the bottom.
For some reason I was thinking he was an MK2.
He was at the bottom of the pit, and he was essentially he basically was just they said, okay, you're Scorpion and Sub-Zero for the most part, and
the palette swapping is a mainstay of the franchise,
and you're super fast. He was really he was difficult to beat in the first one.
I do remember that he was a tough boss. Yeah. Whenever I guess I did meet him at some point.
Yeah, but that was super cool, and it was I have never, and I don't believe. I think there have been a lot of really cool fatalities and things in that game, but nothing will ever touch that first time I saw Sub-Zero rip somebody's head off and the spinal column was just flopping around.
Yeah, that was his fatality. No. Oh, Scorpion's was he burned him. Sub-Zero's, yeah. I go, okay.
Yeah, Scorpion's first fatality, he pulled his mask off to reveal his skull and burn them. Kano ripped their heart out.
Right.
Liu Kang. I think Liu Kang just beat them up. He didn't actually do anything. He just beats the crap out of them.
It's been a long time since I revisited the very first or even any early Mortal Kombat.
I don't remember what Johnny Cage's is either. Sonya's was the Kiss of Death, where she Like
right.
She did the kiss, and then
Johnny Cage punches a hole through them.
No, because that's Kano. Kano does that, and he pulls the heart out. I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember in Mortal Kombat 2, which by the way, still favorite game of the series.
Revered as the best.
Liu Kang turned into a dragon
yes.
and eat them.
Well, didn't it also had animalities and
that was the third one had animalities.
Babalities.
The second one had friendships and babalities.
Friendships. There it is.
Yeah. And I remember the babalities too because everybody liked making Baraka be a baby.
It's funny because I've heard somebody recently talk about why those don't show up often in the newer games, where I feel like I would still like them. That's really it. Like to see like little baby versions of the characters. Like they don't do anything. Like there's no. It's the same thing for each person technically.
Sure. I mean, I guess it's I miss the friendships. I think they should do friendship regularly.
I miss them all. I love them all back. I am kind of surprised they haven't done anything.
And I actually it's
so.
One of those things where I kind of feel like the reason they maybe don't is because they're taking it a little more seriously.
Could be.
Which I think is also just don't do that.
Yeah, actually. And I think we'll get into that the farther we go down the Mortal Kombat 11.
We will. I'm kind of excited to talk to you also about that game. I've played it.
Okay. So shut up.
I don't know. Do you want me to keep going? I don't.
No. I thought you were.
No,
that's true. You were the one talking. Why would you tell me to shut up?
Why would you tell yourself to shut up?
Shut up.
Fair enough. I will.
You've stuck with Mortal Kombat over the years and
I have there are one or two games I never played.
What?
Yeah, there was like a 3D one.
Mortal Kombat 4?
Maybe was it 4?
I'm pretty sure 4 was where they because I want to say I played the N64 version emulated.
I don't know. There was a 3D one I never played, and maybe I'm conflating it with something. I don't recall, but I feel like there was a 3D one like a la that like Virtua Fighter where you had a button to move left and right on the 3-dimensional plane.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was 4.
Yeah, and I never.
And then it gets fuzzy because they stopped numbering them, unlike me. But also they remember it was Deception.
I think Deception was the one with the
Conquest?
The Conquest mode.
Okay, I played that, loved that.
Loved Conquest mode. I had so much fun with that, except for that one achievement that you couldn't get because it was bugged.
I know, it bugged, yeah, the end of that game bugged out on both of us, I remember. Such a... and it was back in the day when there weren't... Like, I thought when something like that happened to a game like that back then, I thought there was something wrong with me. You know?
Well,
it never occurred to me that the game was broken.
No, but there definitely still was something wrong with you.
Definitely, yeah.
What's your gamer score right now?
But then wait, you're seriously asking or
kind of, yeah, actually.
360,000 something, I think.
Jeez.
Your silence.
I'm at like 80,000 still. No, I think I broke 100,000 now. I think I'm at like 112.
Oh yeah, you're over 100,000. I even know your gamer score. I don't, but you're over 100,000.
Yeah, I think I'm at like 112. But anyways, sorry. Continue.
No, and then I want to say I played one more because I liked Deception so much. I want to say I played the one after that. Also didn't have a number though, and I can't remember the subtitle. It was like
the subtitles.
Yep.
Never.
So easy to look up, so close to both of us, and yet you know what? That's for other people.
That's for podcasts that try to be quote unquote
historians,
informed,
and academics. Let's say
that's what Mortal Kombat truly is. It's just academic.
An academic.
I'm a damnick. A damamic.
Well, I think that's pretty much what I was getting at with you. And yes, actually, now I want to go back and check out what you did write about the last Mortal Kombat game.
I was looking. I was actually looking for it. I couldn't. I didn't.
It's up there somewhere. Again, it's on the internet, which appears to be a problem for us. I think
it's not great. It's not. We don't do great. Okay, hold on for a second here. I'm finding.
Sure. No.
Okay, so we've got Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which guess what that contains?
Oh, now so this is just going through all of them. Yeah, I want to say Ultimate was even just a something of 3 or something.
It was an update. Yeah. It was, and Ultimate was kind of like their version of doing Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition.
Sure. Right.
But for some reason they did it with Mortal Kombat 3, which was like definitely not the best one. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, which I actually played and really liked.
I've always heard about it and kind of been...
It was not good.
Was it a Super Nintendo?
PS1. PS1 and N64.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope, never played that.
Mortal Kombat 4, that's the one I don't believe. Yeah.
That's the 3D one, right?
That is the 3D one.
Okay. Where are you getting this, by the way, just for...
Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Oh, okay.
Mortal Kombat Gold, which was I think that was also just an update to MK4.
Never heard of it, yeah.
And then you had Mortal Kombat Special Forces. That one I never played that one, and that was
no idea.
That one was like Sub-Zero, but it was just with Jax, which again is another one. Out of all the characters to choose,
well, Sub-Zero makes sense, I guess, but yeah, Jax.
But why Jax? Jax has never been an upfront big in the front of the thing character. He just hasn't.
I mean, he's one of the. Was he in the first game?
No.
I was going to say he's one of the better new, quote unquote, new additions when they started adding,
Right, and he was he was new. I think he was in the second one. I think that's where he started.
Right, yeah.
Because I think his fatality in the second one is he rips their arms off.
I do believe that's true.
Mortal Kombat Advance, which actually I never played that either, which was Mortal Kombat 3 on Game Boy.
Right.
Deadly Alliance.
That's the one. Oh, and wait, which one did that before Deception? Okay.
That was before Deception. That's the
Was that the one with Conquest?
And I'm looking.
Because whichever one had Conquest had they had a puzzle fighter, they had remember they had all the different modes in there? There was a cart something rather to one of them.
So this one also had 3D where you could sidestep around.
They started to limit it, though. I want to say Deadly Alliance and Deception played pretty similarly, where you could sidestep to the point where projectiles would miss you by sidestepping, but it wasn't fully 3D like Mortal Kombat 4 was.
Right. Oh, this is the one that had test your sight, the cups that move around also.
Okay, yeah. I'm remembering the back of the box that just was nuts with
So that was Deadly Alliance, and then Deception...
Okay, you know what it probably was? I played Deception, and I liked it so much that I looked at what they had been doing recently, because Deception was the first one I had played in years.
It had the chess game. I forgot about chess. Right. Yeah. So
and the crypt was kind of a grid, wasn't it?
Right,
back then?
Yeah. Yeah, it had other puzzle games. Right, yeah.
This is fun for everybody, believe me.
So Deception, and then you had Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks, which was another...
Heard of that one too.
Yeah,
did you ever play that?
That was another spinoff. I did not play that.
I've heard good enough things about it, actually.
Armageddon, which is the sequel to Deception, and that was kind of the end of the series at that point. Then you had Unchained on PSP, which was just Deception. Ultimate Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, which
right.
That was such a bummer that Shazam was in that though, so it's fine.
Oh really?
And then it kind of repeats. You get Mortal Kombat in 2011. And
that's kind of the birth of the new era,
right? And then
I can't say anymore now that it's being actually used in Mortal Kombat 11. That's fine.
Exactly. So that was 9, and then you have a couple of others, 10, and then 11. So that's where we're at. So a couple of them I haven't played, and that's
a couple. Whereas I've played a couple. I mean, I have 1, 2, 3. I'm good on. I have that Ultimate Collection that's been out however many times. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then I played 4 enough to realize what everybody else realized, that the fighting genre probably shouldn't be heading in this direction. And then Deception, and then 10, and now this. So yeah, okay, all right.
You're as seasoned as I am.
I don't know but to add to my history at the very least, since 10, I should say, because I think this is going to color a lot of where this discussion goes from here.
Okay.
And we've been into this a little bit on the show from time to time also, but MK11 wasn't on my radar, really. I knew it was coming out. I didn't really, especially lately with less time and more games, I tend to pick and choose, and if something isn't terribly different from its previous iteration, even though this is where I get into trouble, games is a largely iterative process, I don't pick it up. So I hadn't planned on picking up Mortal Kombat 11, and then they started releasing some of the story stuff, and I said, okay, I'm going to buy this just to play the story, which is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement. for anybody to make.
That sounds right, yeah.
Well, and maybe not anymore, but just the fact
that
we're to this point. Okay. So I got it. So I did. But it's hard to think that a lot of what I'm going to say from here on out isn't going to be colored by that a little bit. So...
Well, what's wrong with that?
I mean, nothing. I just want to get out in front of it and again, we'll get into this, and I feel like you're going to help me out because you might end up on the opposite end of the spectrum here, whereas this is something I want to steal from your life essence.
Awesome.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So
I don't either.
Mortal Kombat 11.
Sure, that's okay. Let's get on to this topic.
Let's get on to this.
Sure.
How's it been so far? And are we going to do... I have only played the story. I bought this for the story. I'm only playing the story so far. I have hints and things there about other stuff, and there is plenty of fighting in the story, so I can talk about that a little bit. But for the most part, I'm talking story here. Are we on the same page with that, or have you been around the game more than I have?
I've probably been around the game maybe a little bit more. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have played some of the story. I am a little like 50% actually. I just got.
I think I caught up to you too. You told me that, and I got the 50% achievement.
Yeah.
Maybe this morning. Actually.
Yeah, and that's where I stopped. I was like, okay, done. Yeah.
So we're roughly at the same spot in the story.
Yeah.
All right. How's it going?
Story or me personally? I'm fine.
Either one. Right. And I feel like it's going to be a combo answer. But can we do it without spoiling the story?
Well, I don't know enough of the story to spoil it yet. So yeah.
Well, there's
there's like 1,000 things that seem like they're telegraphed, and this is a Mortal Kombat story, but I don't really know how it's all playing out. And this is a so. I like the game fine. I think the story is fine. It is definitely falling into a rabbit hole of convoluted decision making, I think, though, in terms of what they're telling in story. And maybe it's just me, but there are bits here where I'm like, wait, what just happened? Wait, nope. Why did that happen? Wait, who is that? When did they get there?
It is not just you. I literally have that down in my notes. That the story is kind of a complete run-on, where there's a lot of it that's just kind of like this, and then this, and then this, and then this. It's not necessarily... And it does become convoluted, and I think that's honestly kind of part of the genre, because they're like trying to get you to certain fights at sometimes, it seems.
Well, yes, absolutely. But I feel like X and Injustice both did this better. Like, there were just... You know what it is I feel like... So the way the game plays out is chapter based, and when they give you the chapter, it tells you here's who you're going to basically be playing the entire chapter. So you start off with whoever. I don't remember who the first person was. Was it Johnny?
Possibly.
I
don't remember. I want to say it might be Cassie, actually. Cassie Cage.
Oh yeah. Maybe it is Cassie because you fight Sonya first. But it's so it's done similarly to the other games where. A chapter starts, you're told who you're going to play, you kind of get their vignettes and some of their stuff, and then you move on, and then it all kind of coalesces. In the other games, and I think this is the problem I have here.
Okay.
So the other games did a good job of actually creating beats in the story, whereas this doesn't feel like it has story beats. It feels like it is a run-on sentence of like, we're just going to mash this all together. And I'll be honest, the fact that I hit 50% as quickly as I did without really having a concept of what the hell's going on other than time travel, things are merging, Raiden is good and bad.
I'm super happy to hear you say that, because I've been doubting. I'm like, the stuff I'm noticing, I'm like, was it like this in 10? Like, am I just noticing it now, or were these actually better? And I never played Injustice, so I did watch a lot of the story mode, and I feel like there wasn't an issue with this, because one of the other issues I have, besides all that, it kind of being a run-on story, is that it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
It definitely, I would say, looks better than 10. And I've got an HDR thing going on here, and it's super crisp, and it's beautiful. It really does look good. The animations are really good. Some of the expressions are really, really good.
Sure.
But the editing seems off. And I know that's a weird thing to call out a game on. We recently talked about Red Dead Redemption, where they had kind of nailed it in-engine game editing.
Right. Okay.
And I know this isn't in-engine most of the time. Like we're going back and forth between, and you can tell when it switches, in-engine and pre-rendered. I'm pretty sure cutscenes pre-rendered or some combination of them.
Yeah.
Even though the graphics change isn't like you don't notice it for that reason. I notice it. In fact, it might be my HDR because then when it cuts to when the stances are going to happen and fighting actually goes on, so you're in-engine.
Yeah.
I notice it becomes crisper. In a way.
Sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
Are you noticing the same thing?
I don't have HDR, so no.
No, but that's why I'm asking. Do you notice that? Like, is the transition more seamless for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even if it was, it's just not something I'm really paying attention to because in my head, it's just, here's story. We're migrating to fight now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's taken me out of it all terribly that much, but it's noticeable. But I can get past that. What's been more annoying to me are that I feel like because it looks so beautiful, they are maybe trying to depend a little bit more on the expressions.
Sure.
And it does work sometimes, but there have been some moments, especially early on in the story, like this is early on, and again, spoiler, whatever. Especially in Mortal Kombat, when somebody dies, is anybody really dead? So whatever. It's totally weird anyways because you see the person die like 30 times in the course of a fight anyways. But in the story, Sonya dies, and there's a moment where it's a wordless moment that rests on Cassie Cage and depends completely on her expressions in the moment.
Sure. Yeah.
And the expressions aren't necessarily up to it and often aren't, despite how good they look. But also, when I say the editing is off, they appear to linger on those shots way too long. And I don't know if it's because they want to showcase those expressions or because they trust in them or because if there is some sort of in-engine, because a lot of the times that's what the problem is with game editing is stuff is loading somewhere, and that's why it's not going to cut until it's ready to load.
Sure.
Or whatever, I'm not sure that's what's happening here. In any event, it's happening often enough that these shots are going on for just 2 to 3 seconds. I mean, which is a lifetime.
That's a long
2
time.
2 to 3 seconds. Yeah, too long.
Yeah.
And that is kind of taking me out of it. And have you got any of that?
I totally know what you're seeing. I absolutely get what you're seeing. It doesn't bother me the same way it bugs you.
I know I'm hypersensitive to that. Yeah, you're right.
And that's cool. I mean, that's it's a good thing, especially for what we do, and definitely for what you do for a living.
Right. Yeah, it's my job. Yeah. I'm
so
literally an editor.
You're going to be way more hyper focused on that and catch that stuff than I'm a lay person. I'm a lazy person, so I'm not going to catch that. Yeah, they are making some funky choices with how they're going, like it because it does. The game in general almost feels like it's being made by it's like you had Infinity Ward, and then you've got Treyarch, and I feel like which one is the one you don't like? You don't like Treyarch.
Treyarch.
Right? This feels like it's the Treyarch version, whereas Injustice and X were Infinity Ward, and it's weird because much like the Treyarch Call of Duty games, they're not bad. They're quite serviceable.
No,
but they're just not quite where you want them to be. And I have not done any of the towers yet, which I have a lot of fun with. I actually really love the towers, and I know that there are some patches coming down to change up the difficulty on the Tower of Time, changing some of the modifiers. Everybody's getting gifts of a ton of coins and a ton of souls to buy things.
I mean, since you're talking about towers, and I still want to come back to story.
Yeah.
All of the things that they're changing with the update, though, because one of the I guess it's with the Towers of Time.
Yes.
Is that what they're all called this time, or is that one specific?
No, so there are like classic towers with a K. Okay. And then the Towers of Time with a K.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if anybody doesn't know, every hard C sound has been pronounced with a K for the whole show so far.
Also, every word we say that doesn't sound like that has a K in front of it, like czar.
Oh, interesting. See, that I didn't know. But all the changes they've announced for that mode seem ridiculous that they got it this wrong. This is, I got a thing on Kotaku here up here. The frequency of player damaging hazards has been reduced. Unblockable hazards have been made blockable. Enemy health has been reduced. And they say there's still a patch forthcoming that will lower the difficulty of the towers in some other way. How Like, that's a lot of changes, man. Is this tied into the microtransactions? Like, is this where they were hoping to make a bunch of money or something?
So people were definitely pissed about that, and they think the microtransactions are a part of it. What it sounds like to me is that I don't think they QA'd that. I think that they legitimately like had somebody QA, does the tower rotate? Can you do these things in the tower? Because the gameplay is all the same, like the difference is being, okay, instead of Kung Lao throwing one hat, their hat's coming from every direction. Okay. It's not like they are not reinventing their own wheel, but man, did they go ahead and try to and screw it up something fierce. Like you've got three wheels sitting, like they're rolling forward, and you got that fourth wheel that's trying to go the other, like literally that like horizontal to their vertical. It's just not going to happen.
Well, and I guess why that makes a little bit of sense is because it was all difficulty problems that the players are running into, and it seems like it was all just kind of piling up. Like modifiers, if they hit the right way, and with they mentioned a couple examples, but basically they just made it so hard that people were having a problem completing the tower at all, which does sound like a QA issue. I can't imagine unless this is tied a lot to microtransactions, that they would have wanted to produce something like that would be that difficult for people. Well,
I don't know how they screwed this up in the first place, because I think 9 had the towers, but 10 had them and they were fine.
Yeah, none of this, right?
Injustice 2 had towers, they were fine.
Although you know what I think about when I see stuff like this? The first game I think about is freaking Shadow of Mordor, which is what we call it, and it's not what it's called. Shadow of Mordor 2.
Shadow of War
of Doors.
Hold the door.
Door War. But remember how they came out with a bunch of microtransaction stuff that you gotta believe the developers didn't want?
Right, sure. And then eventually they ended up, like, after the game was dead,
rolled it back.
Okay, no more microtransactions. Go ahead and play it again.
So I wonder, especially with how quick they've gone back on that, I would trust NetherRealm maybe a little bit more in this department to be like, okay, we'll put this in here, Warner Brothers, but the second anybody says anything, we've got patches ready to go, type thing.
And the funny, so this is very, very tinfoil hat, but I kind of
yes. None of this is
no. This one is tinfoil hat. There's far more than that one.
Okay,
I do like this idea though that companies, and NetherRealm would be no different. Companies are purposely doing things like this, like it's almost planned obsolescence, but they're putting in these things that are outrageous to actually get people PO'd, so that when they roll them back to the place where they know people would have been pissed before, they can go, oh, look at us, we fixed it so it's better, but it's still where they wanted it to be originally.
Dude, I would not be surprised,
no,
man.
Right? It's tinfoily, but dude, I could totally see that. And I'll be honest with you, I could totally see that in a Call of Duty game. I could see that.
Oh yeah.
I could see that from a lot of different companies.
I mean, it's only tinfoil in so much that it's an extreme version of literally what actually happens. Well, they release a game, and it's literally what happened with the Shadow of War thing we just talked about. They release a game that is expensive. They snag, and I hate this term, but they snag a couple whales in the process.
That's exactly what they do.
And then they lower the prices on stuff to snag the next level of people, and then they just keep doing that over the life of a game until finally, they've gotten everything they can get out of it, and it's just, lives out the rest of its life in relative obscurity as far as money goes.
Correct.
So I mean, this would just be a more extreme version of that, of a common practice. So
yeah. So jumping back into things, I guess a little bit more. I haven't touched the towers yet, so I'm looking forward to getting into them because I did like them. I am actually very excited to see what the changes are to the Tower of Time. Not because there won't be changes to me, but coming into it going, oh, okay, this is viable, or going into it and going, wow, I really wish I knew how bad it was before.
Right, yeah. By the time you start it, all the patches are going to be in, and you'll know.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. But other than that, I think, going back to the Treyarch Infinity Ward thing, one of the differences that I find in this game compared to Injustice 2 and X is that it's slower, and the inputs don't quite feel as snappy as I'd like them to.
Huh, really? They're talking about core fighting now.
They're close. They're not awful, But I am having, there have been a couple of moves like during tutorials that I couldn't do for no reason. Like it was taking me a long time to do basic stuff. And I'm doing them meticulously and it's still like, it's just not registering it right.
Oh, weird.
It was very annoying.
I did not have that. I probably haven't done as much of the tutorials as you have yet. But
so in terms of that, how far have you gotten in the tutorials?
I did, because when you try and start the story, it's like, do you want to do the tutorials first? And I'm like, okay, I guess I do. I did whatever tutorials that it then lets me go back to the story. Maybe just the basic tutorials. How many tutorials are there? I'll tell you.
So you've got like the 4 basic tutorials, and then I think there are 6 advanced tutorials.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like I just did the 4 first basic ones.
And then there are quote unquote tutorials for every character.
Yeah, I definitely haven't done those. And I've heard good things, and so far I have experienced good things with the tutorial. I haven't had any of the input issues you're talking about, but it's also surfaced really well. Like it's got little hourglasses that tell you,
yep,
in what amount of time you have to execute and stuff like that. I thought that was all super
helpful. And you can actually it tells you how you're doing it, like what the button presses are in the bottom corner, and right. you can actually, it kind of, I wish it had a metronome thing that would go tick 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 go, because you just kind of have to watch it and wait, but you can follow that, and if you're not like paying attention to your fighter but trying to follow the timing, it'll illuminate the buttons you're pressing as blue and kind of follows the thing. Yeah,
it's really good. Like,
yeah, the
super enjoying that.
Tutorials are fantastic.
I would play more of them.
Yeah, they're really great. The ones for the characters are pretty good too. The character ones are mostly the various special moves, like here's how you do this, here's how you do that, and then a couple of here's how you can kind of combo this into that. But there's not a ton there, but there's a ton there. It's pretty great.
I'll be curious to see if you find a rhythm, because I feel like that's been a past thing for me with fighting games also, is that stuff appears not to hit at first, but then as I get into the game, maybe I just adjust to whatever weird things are going on with that game, but eventually it comes, we come to an understanding, it seems, and stuff becomes a little bit easier. But I haven't dipped into as much of the core fighting as you have, it seems. So I don't know
either, but I think you're right. I think I will find a rhythm with it. And like I said, I feel right away from starting this that it's slower than the other games, which means my rhythms are going to be different. And as I get older for things like this, it does take a little more time to find, where I'm like, okay, this is, but we're getting there. I've got some characters I'm looking at that I think I'm going to focus on, and we'll see.
Oh, who's an early favorite?
Early favorite. Oh man, I got to tell you, I was super bummed out that Kenshi wasn't here. Because
Kenshi's not here.
I really, really wanted Kenshi, and I'm actually kind of pissed about Reptile. That just kind of frustrates.
0 Reptile, yeah. Although
Reptile hits.
Noob is here.
Noob is here. I was just never a big Noob guy though.
Really?
So, yeah.
I like how he's done here a lot. He might be my early favorite, even though I haven't played him at all.
Yeah, I think
him.
I think I'm gonna work on Aaron Black. I like that character. I think he's
cowboy.
Fun.
He's cowboy.
He's a cowboy.
Other thing I want to talk about, and I do want to go all the way back to the story, is that one of the things they did sell me on with this thing was the interaction of, because it's a time travel story, and Chronica, the big bad here, brings back characters from, it appears, the Mortal Kombat 2 era, right?
Yes.
And so you're running into a lot of those characters against other characters. You see some stuff with old Johnny Cage and new Johnny Cage. Old Scorpion, new Scorpion is something I just played. Have you got to that point in the story yet?
Old Scorpion, new Scorpion?
Yeah, they meet, they battle.
No, the last Scorpion thing I remember is him and Sub-Zero saving Sector.
Okay, so I'm ahead of you, but I'm a better person. But I find that the game actually isn't, and this is completely a thing of expectations. I was expecting almost more schlockiness out of that mashup. I was expecting a little bit more craziness, which the moments land for the most part, even though there's a little bit of that editing stuff I already talked about. But it's not, okay, they keep it in universe. So yes, they're bringing back these characters from that time period, but they're updating them for not just look, because I get, obviously, they're not just going to look like the pixelated versions from the other ones, or even just dressed the same for the most part. Sure. I get that, and that's fine and fun, but they've also updated them for the universe. Like, they don't necessarily act, and maybe this is where I'm running into problems, how I thought they acted or how those characters have come up through various media throughout the years, I guess. It's just not as wacky as I guess I was expecting it to be. I'm not getting as much bombast out of that as I thought I would.
No, it's very serious. Like they've made it it is like a far more serious Mortal Kombat than any other one in a long time. I enjoy the game for what it is. I think it's fun. I'm probably, like I said, I'm going to enjoy the towers. But man, is it just kind of like...
I want to like it more. I feel, and this is weird. I feel like you're getting at the same thing, which is weird too. I thought you were going to help me out here. I find myself wanting to like it more, and it's not yet happening. Although I am liking it, and there are good moments.
No, I'm with you. It hasn't gotten there yet.
Interesting.
You know, this is one though I can walk away from and go, I'm not disappointed that I bought it or anything.
No.
Like,
still no.
I enjoy this a great deal. I'm still having a ton of fun with it. I will have a ton of fun with it. I just, and you talk about expectations, and I think that in some cases, yes, having expectations is almost universally a bad thing, but when you have a pedigree behind you for so long and you have like consistent stuff coming out that's good and great and getting better, and then you have a step back, the hits can only keep on coming for so long. And this is still going to be a hit, but it's just not hitting as much as I'd like it to,
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. And yeah, it doesn't mean that it's bad. And I feel like we get into a weird area here, especially with Mortal Kombat, because it's not, while it is taking itself a little bit seriously, it's not meant to be serious. Like, how far can we actually take the discussion about how, the writing's not great, the story's not constructed, it is that run-on of a sentence thing. Like, I don't know how far that discussion really goes with this thing.
Let's talk about
how much it should even.
Okay, let's talk about suspension of disbelief for a minute.
I can't believe I'm not liking this more.
Here's where I have some issues. How can a guy get shot between two eyes, have blood come out of the back of his skull, and still have eyes?
There's some good... Okay, that's the fighting I have got into. I've seen a lot of... Although there's no fatalities in the story mode. I guess that makes sense, since we're talking about making sense in Mortal Kombat story mode now.
Yeah.
But I have got to see a bunch of the fatal blows, as they're called now, which... I've become increasingly annoyed with people who are calling them the new thing for this game. It's just the freaking X-rays.
It's the X-ray without the X-ray
It's just the X-rays, guys. It's all right.
Yeah, and that's something that I will admit. I think they're cool, but they're not as cool as the X-rays. The X-rays were cooler. And
you think so? Mortal Kombat 10 still got the upper hand? Okay,
yeah. I do like that you can get the crushing blows, and that'll do the X-ray thing on
I've done a couple of those on accident. Yeah, those have been cool.
But actually, if you go into your menu, there's a thing that'll tell you that it has a crushing blow, because only certain moves do, and I think it tells you how to get it too, like what the requirement is.
I've been enjoying triggering them without knowing. I think that's cool. Like, bonus surprise there.
And those are cool. I like those a lot. I think they're neat. But yeah, the whole not X-ray thing, it's just not. I don't know. It's kind of like it's like okay. The X-rays were cool because it was this like exactly what you said. It was a bombastic view into the absolute like
inside of a person
ridiculousness of this game, and how anybody could survive any of this stuff, let alone going to survive and still fight. Whereas like the crushing blows, or not the crushing blows, what are they called again?
Fatal blows.
The fatal blows. They're just not all that. They took a step. They took a page out of the Injustice games. They're really similar to those, which are cool in Injustice, because it's neat to watch the Green Lantern create a giant machine gun or a hammer. It's
use
cool
their
to
special
see.
Powers.
Yeah, exactly.
I find them more brutal than the X-rays. Like they've upped their expression game. Like you get a lot more. There's a lot more eyeball work, it seems, in this game than the last one.
Gotta have some good eyeball work.
Which I don't even mean like the expression in the eyes. I mean the knives in the eyes.
Yeah, popping them out, all that.
And I don't mean that in the Joseph Gordon-Levitt in Brick way. I mean actual. There's a line in there where he says, "I got knives in my eyes." It's real cool. But no, these are actual
Book Club for
knives.
Movies Thursday.
Thursday, where we will not talk about Brick or even a movie. Actually, this Thursday. More on that later.
More.
Yeah. Okay. Mortal Kombat 11 is good.
Yeah.
A couple cleanup notes here. Geras has a head thing. Did you get to that scene yet?
Like a headache?
Real head thing going on.
No.
Geras is Kronika's first.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah. No, I know who he is. I did meet him, and I think I fought him as Liu Kang.
Yes. There's a moment where he comes into the base. I think it's your base. It's like a special forces thing. I think you're Johnny Cage at the moment. Or were, I don't know, but it's the cutscene where he walks in and he's just like there are maybe 10 different ways in which he destroys a head. And I'm like, well, he's got a real head thing, this guy.
I do not recall seeing that yet.
Okay, well, maybe it's coming up.
Well, I'm gonna
look for it.
I'm gonna go look for heads right now.
Headline, everybody knows this by now. Ronda Rousey is bad.
All right.
Sonia's voice here.
Do you think she's bad? She's fine. Whatever. Again, it's like you want the schlock. There you go.
Hire a bad voice actor. I liked her in WrestleMania.
I also liked her at WrestleMania.
As a wrestler, even. Yeah. I'll say, but
she's fun.
Cetrion is a miss for me, pretty much completely. Is she from a different game, or is she?
No, she came out and I saw her in the character select screen, and I'm like, seriously. This is what I get instead of Reptile.
She's just a complete miss, yeah.
I actually don't. That is. I'll admit this. The part of the story I'm not liking are those new characters. The whole Chronica changing of time thing. That's interesting, but she as a character, Geras as a character, not interesting.
Really, I like Geras. I guess I don't have anything of Chronica except for the story so far, so I don't know. As a fighter, how that goes. But
she's like a really pissy version of the ancient one from Doctor Strange.
I did get shades of Tilda Swinton with her. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we'll keep playing it and keep talking about it
forever and ever.
It might not be an entire show like this will be because we're just gonna end it with that, but we'll have more words on it. We'll finish. I'm willing to bet we'll finish the story this week.
Possibly today. Who knows?
Yeah. So, Mortal Kombat 11. Still check it out, says I.
Mortal Kombat 11.
And Matt. Yes. And thanks for hanging out, everybody. If you got stuff you want us to talk about, find us podcast at 0HITPoints.com, Twitter, Facebooks, anywhere where
books are sold.
Books are sold. Yeah, thank you for knowing where I was going. We would probably be really good at Name That Tune.
Oh man, that one, or maybe I wonder if we'd be good at what is it? Pictionary? Is it the
I see. I don't know, and it makes me think maybe we wouldn't be.
Okay, you know what? I think we're both wrong.
Okay, here goes. Name that tune. Ready? Ba. Oh, so I'm supposed to ask you how many?
Yeah,
notes,
I say I can name that tune in one note.
Mortal Kombat. You were right. You got it.
That's funny.
Everybody.
Funny because I was gonna say, well, that sounds like the Aquabats.
Close enough. Come back on Thursday where we are not talking about a movie. We are talking about the very last in our series of we recorded these in the same room while I was in Colorado with Matt show. The very first episode of TV Volleyball, TVVB for short. Wherein we show up with just a litany of TV shows that we are currently watching. That's the only rule that we decided on, and I think maybe came up with some more along the way.
We definitely did when I went off the rails and talking about The Walking Dead for like 20 minutes, and you were like, I think this is supposed to be quicker than that, and I went, I misunderstood.
And then we found out that there was a winner, so somebody won, if you remember, which we probably don't. You don't, by the look on your face.
There were points involved.
But it was fun, and maybe a weekly, not weekly, what am I talking about? A regular feature
like a monthly
for
maybe.
Us whenever I can watch enough TV shows to keep up with you.
Yeah, bi-monthly.
Is that every other month?
I was saying goodbye.
Oh, fair enough. Bi-monthly!
Yeah.